Lenihan Boxing Social in association with Forged Irish Stout Empire Fight Store. Been joined by Dave Coldwell. Dave, thank you for giving us some of your time. I'll get my words out. How's things, buddy? Are you all right?
Yeah, really good, really good. Just finished a little session with Stephen Cairns and Dan Toward. We had a every day yesterday, sparring and travelling to Birmingham back. And Steve had to do a detour to Coventry, so we've had a little down day today before sparring again tomorrow morning.
How are them boys coming along? Obviously, a young crop in there now, kind of thing, learning the trade.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Dan Toward, every time I speak to him, I know Sam Jones waxes lyrical about him and his accomplishments coming into the pro game, but him and Stephen are coming on really well, aren't they?
Yeah, listen, sometimes Sam can go a little bit overboard, but you know what? Dan Toward, he's definitely a special prospect. He's really settled into the gym straight away. Obviously, we've had one fight together already, and since that fight, the progression that we're all seeing in the gym, and just enhancing that style and just bringing more of his personality out. But being a little bit more educated, is just flying. And everywhere we go, and the sparring that we've been getting, they all speak very, very highly of him. He's definitely one that that people need to keep an eye out for and follow the progress. And you know what I think about Stephen Cairns? I've had him since he was 18 years old. He's just developing at a phenomenal rate. A really, really good fighter. Gets to go back to Ireland now. It's in Belfast, but he'll have a great following up there. He's looking forward to performing and having his first fight under Queensberry Promotions on June the 28th. So we're looking forward to that.
100%, yeah. It'd be good to see him in Ireland. Belfast's a great city, and I think the way that the trajectory is going over there, there'll be a lot more fights as well. So I'm sure he'll get to go more than once, probably back to Ireland.
Yeah, it's exciting times. I mean, I just think boxing is flying at the moment, and I've got a young stable. Ellis Price is turning professional. He's boxing on the same show as Dan, so I've got them both out June 14th on the Wasserman Channel 5 show. Ellis is very, very good. He's getting some really good quality sparring in. Done some great work with like Joe Cordina. Quite a lot, to be honest. I'm just getting that experience of being in with experienced pros for him. And he's really adapted to the program really, really well. I'm excited about his pro debut, and thankfully Hopi Price is back punching now. Still only light stuff on the pads with his left hand. It's all part of a process, but each week he's the hand's getting stronger, and he'll be looking to get out after the summer break.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Hopi over the past few years, and everyone knows, I think, about him and his talent. But his brother I've heard, an awful lot about as well. And it's exciting when you don't, obviously you're not seeing him yet, and it's like, wow, everyone says this kid's unreal. So look, it's exciting times. There was an anniversary, I think, the other day. Yourself, Tony Bellew, that night at Goodison Park. It was saw all the pictures going up, and it brought me straight back. Time flies, doesn't it? What a night that was.
Yeah, amazing night. It's still when I see the finish, the clip, the madness straight after it, it still brings goosebumps to me. It's a special night. Great memory, and something that I'll never forget.
100%. Look, let's move on. Obviously, this weekend the 5v5's happening. We have seen though that
Cannot wait.
I'm gonna say there's some belting fights top to bottom on that. So I want to touch on, apparently Tyson Fury activated that rematch clause December 21st, Oleksandr Usyk. Just give us your thoughts on the rematch. Obviously, the first fight, close fight. I think a lot of people had Usyk winning, but like I said, not by a great deal. But Tyson Fury is straight back in there, end of the year, and an opportunity to get back some of the belts, because I think one or two of the belts will be fragmented by then.
Yeah, and so we should. It was a good fight, a real high class fight, quality fight, and it was a hard fought contest. It's not one of those where it was completely one sided. It was a real good tussle. It's just that I think that Usyk was better. I do agree with the winner. So. Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't he activate a rematch clause? I know it's a very lucrative fight, and But for him, it's he's a champion. It's his first loss. He's got a champion's mentality. He'll want to go in there and reverse that and make the series 1-1 between those two.
A lot of people saw the first fight to Fury, barring maybe one, maybe 2 rounds out of the first 6. I can't remember how everyone was scoring it now because it seems like it was a fair bit. But then, in terms of what he has to do in this rematch, I spoke to Antonio Tarver after, and he said, "Look, he just doesn't have to get caught." Says, and he wins, and he'll win the fight. I don't know. I was a bit like, I'm not sure if it's as simple as just not getting caught because Usyk was winning rounds.
It's not as simple as that.
But because
I'm sure he didn't need to get caught in that first fight.
That's what I mean. And like I said, the rounds, I think Usyk was still winning, rounds even without the big heavy shot. So if you're Tyson Fury approaching the rematch, and obviously I know you're not training him, but from the outside looking in, we saw the success that he had in there. I think he was going to the body quite well, I think, in the sort of early to mid rounds, really ripping him, throwing uppercuts like from such a long distance with them long levers, and that was working well. And Usyk at one point did look slightly unsteady, but look, he weathered the storm. How do you approach?
Can I just say this, right? Everybody's talking about Usyk looking unsteady, and yes, he was in the middle rounds as such.
Slightly, yeah.
Have you watched Usyk fight before? If you've watched Usyk fight before, I'm talking going back to the cruiserweight fights with Breedis, with Hook, with I think even he got caught with Glowacki a little bit. Gassiev caught him with a left hook. He has moments in fights, and AJ the second fight, he has moments in fights where he does get caught and where he does look like oh, is he in trouble, or is he wobbling a little Dubois? He's very that's what happens in his career.
Yeah,
he has little periods, and in the first 6-7 rounds of a fight of his, you always think the other guy's in it, but it's what he's doing in those first 6-7 rounds and what he's doing to them and how much he's taken out of them that actually catches up on him in the back end of the fights. Yeah. So this where he was in trouble. He understands. He knows how to shut it down. He knows how to ride those moments out. This is high level boxing, and in high level boxing, you are going to have moments where when you're fighting at top level, you are going to have moments where you're losing rounds, where you get hurt, where you maybe rattled a little bit. But how do you react to it? I think he's a master of getting through those moments because he's done it that often throughout his career. And when you're in against a big, 6'9", nearly 19 stone monster, the weight of their shots is going to have an effect on you. But he rides through those moments. It's not just as simple as he just has to do that again, do that again. Because what Usyk's doing to you is stopping you from doing that. Yeah. Earlier on, what Usyk's doing to you is actually taking stuff out of yourself. What Usyk's doing to you is making you second guess yourself throughout, because it's not just a case of I'm going to throw, I'm going to land because I'm bigger, because he's getting hit back. He gets his range straight away. Against the 2 biggest men he's fought, really. Since I think obviously Joyce is in that mix when he was an amateur, but against AJ and against Fury, he got his range straight away. Against AJ, I think in the first round he gets him with the left hand to the head. Against Fury, which is what I was saying going into the fight, if I was him, I wouldn't worry about the head the first couple of rounds, just go to the body. And he was getting the left hands to the body straight away. Now, those shots might not seem, real impactful shots to yourself or to, to other people, but they are. And they're also, he's got his range, and also they do take it out. As an opponent, you're feeling those shots and you're knowing he's in range with those shots. Mm-hmm. It's not just as simple as, Fury just has to do that, because don't forget, Usyk's very intelligent. He'll know, and his team will know. He'll go back and watch that fight, and they'll say, right, okay, it was very good, we won, but could we have been done better? It's not just a case of Fury, I could have done better, I could have done this. Usyk's also going to think, could I have done better? Right, I need to make this happen, I need to make that happen. So this is why this fight is always going to be a great fight between these two. And I'm not saying that Fury can't reverse it, because it's a highly competitive, top quality fight. But what I'm saying is it's a little bit more complex. And it's not just a case of, you need to do this as a game plan. You need to be able to adapt during the fight. That's what you need to be able to do. You need to be able to adapt.
I've never seen like somebody. I've seen Usyk live a few times now, but I've never really seen somebody like, you mentioned these big guys like Fury and AJ. He literally at points in that fight, he's dictating the pace as the smaller guy using his footwork. It's almost, and he did it against, obviously you'll know with Tony Bellew. Tony was doing well first off that, but it was almost like it was a mentally draining battle when it got past the halfway. Usyk's in the back of his mind, and I'm looking going, he knows maybe he ain't winning every round, but he knows at some point something's coming here. And it's like that level. And Tyson Fury is one of the best in terms of like, we talk about, it gets thrown about all the time, boxing IQ and ring generalship, all these type of like buzzwords. But he's one of them who I would put as, at the top there. And for Usyk to sort of be moving the big man around the ring, and obviously Tyson had his moments as well. Look, I'm not saying he didn't, but it's a special quality to have.
Yeah, it is. But that's his IQ. That's his. Boxing is not just a physical game; it's a mental game. It's an intelligence game. He has got such a level of intelligence in the ring. He's thinking 3 and 4 steps in front. It's not just what you see blatantly; it's the subtle things. And this is what I always say. I love seeing these fighters up close. Even when you sat ringside to when you sat in the opposite corner, when you sat in the opposite corner and you're watching them and you're seeing them at work. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be in the opposite corner to Usyk, to Canelo, to Terence Crawford, and you just see them at work, even in a way, briefly, but you just see the subtle things that they do, and it's different. It's just different. And like you say, it's that mental pressure that they put on. And you're all right while the brain is fresh, but when the brain starts getting tired, then the body starts making mistakes.
Yeah.
And that's when he just capitalizes, he capitalizes. And going into the rematch, you're gonna, Tyson knows that he can be hurt now. And Tyson knows not just hurt, it can be hurt bad. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he needs to change. He also knows that, so he's wary. So it doesn't matter, if he wants to implement himself and be more aggressive or whatever. He knows if he gets hit on button, he can get done.
Yeah.
Going into that first fight, I don't think he thought that. I don't listen. He took him seriously, and he definitely knew what he was getting in with in terms of the boxing ability wise, but when you're telling yourself you're in against a middleweight that much, and this little man's not gonna, can't touch you, and he's perceived as not being a puncher way, then I think the first time he got caught was a left hand, and it kind of like surprised him. You could almost see it on his face. He was like, "Fucking hell, I felt that."
Well, he says at the end, he goes, "You're a good strong." I think he says something like, "You're a really strong little man," or something like that. So I think when they embraced at the end, he says something online. He was strong, and I thought he's giving him his props there, because I don't think he expected him to have that, not the one punch concussive, but that sharpness, which like Jesus gets your attention, like.
But I think to be honest, going through his career, I think most opponents have felt that way, because he doesn't fight in a manner that is a puncher. I think going through, a lot of people have thought that he's not really a puncher, and it's just his skills you've got to negate. But when he does hit you, when he stiffens it up a little bit, every fighter's felt it. Every fighter has. May not feel it in the first rounds, 3 rounds, 4 rounds, but as the fight goes on, they're feeling the power, because otherwise people just run straight through you. I always think this when people say, "Oh, he can't punch, you can't punch." Well, if Lerone Richards once said it, if you're that weak a puncher, why are you not running straight through me?
You see,
it's hard enough to get respect.
You see, it's right history. Even fighters, when they don't have a big knockout ratio, a lot of the times you've really got to look at the career. Some fighters have it hard from the bottom to the top, and you're not fighting people who you can just get out of there. I mean, think Carl Frampton when he fought Josh Warrington. He says, "Josh hit me as hard as I've ever been hit." Josh ain't got a big knockout ratio, and it's like, but the fights he's had coming up were difficult enough to get him to that point, and he's got a bang on him. And like I think what Floyd Mayweather, up until he got to like 147, he had like a high percentage knockout ratio, and his hands were brittle. Everyone knows, but nobody was really walking through Floyd because of accuracy, timing, and he's sharp. So, but yeah, this 5v5. Let's break it down quickly, and I'll let you get off. Top of the card, Wilder Zhang. How have you got it? I think this fight, however it goes, ends in 5 rounds maximum, surely.
Well, to be honest, I just can't wait for the whole show. I think it's just brilliant. It really is. Every fight on there, there's the intrigue and there's going to be excitement. In terms of Wilder against Zhang, you
can't go points. Sure.
You're always going to say it's never going to points. You're always going to say Wilder has his right hand, but his legs looked that bad last time out that there is no right hand without the legs. And it's not like Zhilei Zhang's a chinny heavyweight. He is tough himself. He's actually fast. He's got faster hands than what he's perceived to be. Yes. And he applies that front foot pressure really well. The only thing is he's southpaw, and southpaws can get hit with that right hand. So depending on what's in Wilder's legs, I don't know. I mean, I've got to lean towards Zhang, and I think Zhang. I think Wilder's done. Mm-hmm. For boxing and for the whole, the division and everything, I'd like to see Wilder do it. I hope Wilder does it because he's pure excitement, like just that one-shot knockout merchant. I'd love him to have another run at the big fights, the AJ fight. Yeah, but realistically, I'm going to say Zhilei Zhang knocks him out.
Ammo Williams, Hamza Shiraz. We're going to see. See how good these guys actually are, because it's a great fight.
Yeah, really good fight. I watched the face-off. When they did it across the table.
Yeah.
The more I see of Hamza, the more I like it. I like he's got a personality as well. At first, when I started watching him, I just thought he was a good fighter, but I thought he was very, just a quiet kid. But I like how Ammo looks as though he's forcing out bullshit out of his mouth just to chat for the sake of it. And Hamza was just really clever with what he said, and it was a really good face-off. I think Hamza Shiraz is going to run through him. I think he's going to take him. I do. I think he's going to take him apart. I mean, I may be wrong, but I just feel as though he's got the real substance in the fight. I think Ammo Williams is a good fighter, but I think I can just see him getting dissected. I think was perhaps the word. I think it's going to be a good fight. I'm not saying it's one-sided, but I think he's going to get bit by bit systematically taken apart. Mm-hmm. So I'm going with Hamza Shiraz for that. Is that he's the captain, isn't he? So is that double points, that one?
I think so, yeah. Nick Ball, Ray Ford. I think that's this great fight. Such a good fight.
Do you know what? I'd love Nick Ball to win it. I think Nick Ball should be world champion right now, obviously, on the back of the Vargas fight. Ray Ford, good fighter. If I remember rightly, when I was watching it, he was losing the fight and he pulled it out of the bag.
Yeah, Kolmatov was a dangerous man as well.
Good fighter, very, very good fighter. Yeah. I kind of got a feeling that because Ball's one thing about Ball is he's very, or he was in that fight especially, still very predictable in his attacks, and he's there to be countered.
Yeah.
And I got a feeling Ford's going to look to be countered. It's just a case of does Ball take him out of his rhythm and make him uncomfortable, and not because he's very, very physical, shoving you off the floor. If Ford can't cope with that, then he could get ragged and then get get mauled, sort of thing. It could be an untidy, messy fight. Could be with pockets of explosions. I don't know. I think I don't know about this one, because if Ford's as good as what they're saying he is, then I think Ball leaves enough gaps in his attacks to be countered, and little sharp counters. I don't know. This honestly, it's an hard one for me to split this one.
No, it's fine. And I think that's what makes this card so good, because I think that one, the Shiraz Amo fight, I think even Hrgović Dubois, them ones in particular, I could honestly, like, if whoever won, I wouldn't really be surprised. One of them type of fights. But
I know.
Hrgović Dubois, thoughts? Because Hrgović now, everyone talked about him for years, but now he's coming off the back of an unsteady performance against Zhile Zhang. Then he fought one of David Hayes' former opponents, Daniel Dubois. I think in a way he survived a lot of criticism and got through a bit of a question mark over that fight with Jarrell Miller, because he got put on him a little bit in that fight. He stuck it out and he grinded it out. So he's sort of riding that wave. But Hrgović has said, if he beats me, I'm done. So it's great. Like,
again, it's a really good fight. And I think Dubois against Miller, he showed that it can grit his teeth. I was really pleased for him for that, because obviously he's had a couple of fights where a lot of people have questioned him, including myself. But I was pleased that not that he proved us wrong in that fight, in terms of can he show that that grit, that determination, and that he proved it to himself that he can. And I think that's the most important thing, that he proved to himself that when it gets tough, rough, he has got it in him to dig deep and come through those rocky moments. Hrgović is a little bit different to Jarrell Miller, though. And the fact that he's got that range as well, and he's got that booming right hand, I would make Hrgović the favourite. But as you say, Hrgović recently, his recent form, he against Zhang, he was like strange performance, indifferent, not particularly good. But then again, Zhang's proved himself since then. And his last fight was, nothing. So does that catch up on him? Whereas Dubois has gone through the mill and he's had real fights. He has had real fights. Usyk and the Miller fight. But I'm gonna say Hrgović. I think.
Yeah, I think I'm I think I'm on that sort of same wavelength, where you look at him and go, you'd give Hrgović, I think, slight favour, slightly. But then you're like,
it's just that Hrgović has that chin really, really high.
Yeah,
and it does. It goes back in that straight line. So, and Dubois can really, really punch. So it wouldn't surprise me seeing Dubois lay him out. It really wouldn't. I mean, it's one of those that, as I'm talking about and I'm thinking, oh, well, hang on a minute, I think I've got that one wrong. I think Dubois wins, but that's why it's such a good fight. But then I do think that it's the range of Hrgović, and he is very, very technical. So I think Hrgović. I think.
Craig Richards, Willie Hutchinson. This one's got a bit spicy to say it's kicking off the card, by the way. Willie Hutchinson's really playing the villain out there in Saudi.
Yeah, is he doing his best Ryan Garcia impression?
Well, he might be, but he's I've never seen him like this before. But Craig Richards, like I said, he's been in there with some high level opposition. I think everyone always talks about the Bivol fight and how well he did in that fight, and that should never be overlooked, even though he didn't come out on the winning side of that fight. So he's proved he can hang, kind of thing. For Willie, it's time to sort of, you say, like, he's talked a lot in this build up, so it's up to him to prove. Obviously, I think many people see Craig as favourite in this, but how do you see this? How does it marry up?
I think on a talent basis, I think Willie Hutchinson is so talented as a fighter, very talented. But I think there's been something missing with him as a pro. The level that he's been fighting at is nowhere near the level that Craig's been boxing at. You just, like you said, the Buatsi fight. He's been involved in that dogfight in rivalry or that sort of thing. He fought Bivol, and he didn't really believe himself, I don't think, in the early part of that fight.
Right.
And he gave Bivol a good fight. I think based on that, and the other fights that he's had and he's won, I would say Richards is Craig is the favourite. So I would imagine Craig should beat him. But when he's talking about getting under his skin, I've never seen him like this. So maybe if he tries to beat him too much, Will is talented, and that could play into his favour. But I think the longer the fight goes, the more you'd favour Craig to win the fight.
Yeah. Obviously, Dmitry Bivol's on the card, not part of the 5v5, but we get a chance to see him. We're going to get against Zinad, who stepped in instead of Beterbiev.
Yeah.
What do you make of, obviously, Dmitry Bivol's heavily favoured? It's a last minute sort of change of opponent. Obviously favoured to win, but I suppose an opportunity to, no disrespect to the opponent, it's an opportunity obviously to see Bivol, and hopefully we still get to see the Beterbiev fight in a few months' time.
Yeah, I hope Bivol's an amazing fighter, brilliant fighter, but he can just settle and just be repetitive. Get a great start. If he doesn't get rid of him, then he'll just stay in the same vein and just get the win. That's it. I'd like him to kind of do what the old school fighters do, like your Roy Jones sometimes and your James Toney's. When they're being against not so much James Toney, he'd actually lower his level sometimes. But when they're in against a guy that's nowhere near on that level, they just go out and get rid of him.
Yeah,
I'd like him to go out and just make a bit of a statement, because obviously there is a difference in levels, rather than just. I think on a card like this, if he wants to get any headlines, I know he'll probably be the main event as such, but I don't think anybody's tuning to see this fight. Everybody's tuning to see the 5v5. So I would think and I would hope that he'd want to go and get some headlines and make a bit of a statement himself and go and put on a really good performance.
I saw the fight card list, and obviously I was expecting to see the 5v5 and then Bivol at the top. I'm not sure if Bivol will main event this now. I think they put that forward the card. And I think Wilder Zhang, possibly rightly so, actually, just because of the nature of it.
I don't think they could. I mean, I would. I'll be honest with you. I would rather the Bivol fight be first, and then the 5v5, all in completion, not split, because it's a points tally and because it's the whole 5v5 rivalry. Then I don't think that fight should be in between or in any as a one before the Wilder fight. I think it should either be first, so it's done, and then you're in straight in the mood for the 5v5, or it comes on after. And if you want to see that fight, you'll stay and watch it, or you'll just be buzzing your ticket off from the 5v5. So, either way, really.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. Look, Dave, thank you for giving us some of your time. I appreciate it. Short notice as usual, but you've come through. Looking forward to seeing your boys back out in action very soon, and we will catch up nearer the time.
Nice one, mate. Cheers.
Thank you, mate.